Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy today to join us for the second installment of the series that we have been doing on Guyana's popular tourism circuits. Once again, Nicola's joining us from Georgetown, Guyana. Thanks so much, Nicola. Before I have her take it away, I'm just going to give you guys some housekeeping notes. Please feel free to ask questions throughout the duration of the webinar. You can do that on the GoToWebinar control panel. So type those through while Nicola is presenting, and we will get to those at the end of the presentation. So please fill those in. Also, this webinar is being recorded, so if you have to step out to take a call or something comes up, no worries. We will be sending you all a playback, and we would love for you to share it with your colleagues. Also, if you missed the webinar that we did prior to this one, I will send that in the follow-up so you guys can get an idea of just the popular tourism circuits that we have in Guyana. But without further ado, I'm going to hand everything over to Nicola. So again, please feel free to ask questions. Nicola, over to you.
Thanks, Jesse. Good afternoon, everyone. As Jesse mentioned, I'm calling in here from Georgetown, Guyana. So Guyana is a rare kind of place, one where you can still find nature in its original form. Some information about myself. My name is Nicola Balaram. I'm the Senior Officer of Marketing here at the Guyana Tourism Authority. We are the official destination board of Destination Guyana, and I work in our Destination Marketing Division. So for those of you who don't know, Guyana is a small South American nation, just about the size of Idaho, and it's located just below the Caribbean Sea. We usually say that Guyana is the great melting pot between the Caribbean and South American cultures, because while we are in South America, we do have a strong Caribbean influence. So I know you're wondering, how do I get to Guyana? So from wherever you are, mostly in North America, there are a couple of airlines that can connect you. Flight connections from North America and the United Kingdom, as well as South American countries, can use them from Boa Vista. American Airlines is flying to Guyana, Caribbean Airlines from New York and Miami, Suriname Airways from Miami, and Copa has direct flights from Panama, and they do connect about 15 destinations in the US. American Airlines has started its direct flight from Miami beginning in November of 2018. They have 4 flights weekly. 90% of the population live along the coast, leaving the country's interior lush and untouched and ripe for exploration. So I know you're probably wondering, what is Guyana's tourism product? Basically, it is nature, adventure, and cultural experiences, authentic nature, adventure, and cultural experiences. One of our highest attractions is actually Kaieteur Falls. It's the tallest single drop waterfall and the most powerful waterfall, with a sheer volume of water that falls over. It's 5 times higher than Niagara and about 4 times higher than Victoria Falls. When you come to Guyana, you're going to meet a lot of different people. Guyana is a land of 6 races, but some of the most common faces you will see are Afro-Guyanese, Indo-Guyanese, and our indigenous peoples, which were the first people of Guyana. So in the previous webinars, we did talk about some of the more popular circuits, and now for this one, we're going to focus a little bit on the Essequibo Circuit. If you can see the cluster of red dots, that's where it's located. So the Essequibo Circuit is located on the northern side of Guyana, and it's actually not that far from our capital of Georgetown, maybe about just an hour traveling. So what is there to discover in the Essequibo Circuit? The Essequibo Circuit is filled with rich heritage, especially from our Dutch past, water activities, since it's one of the main rivers in Guyana, island-style lodging, a lot of friendly faces, wildlife spotting, birding, and you get to explore one of the towns in Guyana called Bartica. Throughout this webinar, we'll be going through some of the series of the lodges you'll be able to stay at and learning a bit more about what makes each of them unique and what makes each of them special. We're first going to start off with Baganara Island Resort. From the capital of Georgetown, you usually take a vehicle transportation, about 45 minutes drive to a place we call the Pre-Castelli. From there, you take a boat and you go down about an hour down the river to Baganara Island Resort. It's known for a relaxing environment, kayaking, swimming, volleyball, nature hikes, and a lot of team building retreats. Many companies in Guyana use this on the weekends or a lax day during the week to do a lot of team building exercises. These are just some images of the resort itself. You can see the island style influences, kayaking, and you can see a lot of times in the night they do have a candlelit dinner that overlooks the river. The next lodge we're going to venture to is Huracabra Nature Resort. It's known for its relaxing environment, swimming, nature hikes, hammocks, and popular for wildlife spotting as well. The images you see here are of the property, the outside and the inside, and many people like to use this property just for simple relaxing. You can take your hammock and put it under the lodge in many different places and just have a nice, quiet, relaxing afternoon. One of the other lodges is Sloth Island Resort. It's known for its relaxing environment, wildlife spotting, swimming, and of course, where it gets its name from, sloths. Sloth Island is very popular for wildlife spotting and birding. It's out of all the lodges in that cluster of the circuit, it has the healthiest population of sloths that are in the area. We do encourage people not to get extremely close to hinder the wildlife, but you do get pretty close. As you can see, the traveler in this photo, she's able to take a picture on her phone just a couple of feet away, probably about 2 feet away from the sloth. One of the more refined or luxurious lodges in the circuit is called the Arrowpoint H2O Resort. It's known for its extremely luxury environment, kayaking, jet skiing, and swimming pool. It usually is a favorite among a lot of locals and diaspora as well. As you can see from the image here, it does have a lot of the more luxurious aspects. It's not as nature-filled as the other ones, but they do practice a lot more of sustainability aspects as well. Although it is a luxury resort and it does have a lot of the modern facilities, they do not harm the environment in such a monstrous way or a hard way. They do try to keep their carbon footprint low as well, which we do applaud from the Destination Board's perspective. Following along it's Lake Mainstay Resort. It's known for the relaxing and fun environment, swimming, kayaking, sunbathing. You can see some of the images here of what it looks like in the day and in the night. One of the popular events this lodge has on a yearly basis is called the Lake Mainstay Regatta, where a lot of boaters come about to do races on the water. It's usually held in the summers in Guyana. If you notice from the slides, all of the dots are usually around a small cluster, whereas the other webinars focused on the North Rupununi and some other areas in Guyana. This is a pretty smaller circuit. So you can actually visit all of these properties for maybe an hour or so within one day. But to truly enjoy it, we do encourage you to stay at least a day or at least a night on each of these properties. Usually the transfer between one property and another can range from about half an hour to 45 minutes via boat. One thing that all of them will have in common, as well as anywhere you travel in Guyana, is the mouth-watering dishes we do offer in this destination. We have a lot of influences from our indigenous peoples, East Indians, Africans as well. From the East Indian culture, chicken curry is a big staple in Guyana. From our indigenous peoples, we do get pepper pot. One of the main ingredients from pepper pot is cassourit, which is actually made from a byproduct of cassava. Salted fish and bake is a popular breakfast dish in Guyana, and plantain chips and fries are usually a go-to snack or a complement to any meal in Guyana. I know this webinar does focus on the Essequibo Circuit, but there is one nature resort that's very similar to what you find in Essequibo Circuit. That's a bit closer to Georgetown. This is about a 45-minute drive and then about a 15 to 20-minute boat ride down the Demerara River. Arrowpoint Nature Resort is known for its relaxing and fun environment, kayaking, trail biking, nature trails, team building activities. And it's also, as I mentioned, it was found on the Demerara River. One of the more popular activities here at Arrowpoint that you can do in the night is a nighttime bonfire dinner. What the management usually does when it has a lot of guests staying there, and when the guest population also would like to be included in it, every night they would do an outdoor bonfire dinner on the beach. In the nights as well, you can request them to do a Creatures of the Night tour. They take you by boat into the nearby river, or you can go wildlife spotting. Now, I know you said this is all great, but how do I get there? Usually when you travel into Guyana to one of the main airports in Chedijagan International Airport or Eugene F. Correa International Airport, you will usually stay in Georgetown, which is our main hub and capital city. From there, to go to the Essequibo Circuit or to Arrowpoint in Demerara River, usually take a 45-minute transfer by vehicle, and then you take a boat for about an hour to any of the Essequibo River lodges, or about 20 minutes to the Arrowpoint Nature Resort. There are about 2 lodges in the Essequibo Circuit, Baganara Island Resort and Lake Mainstay, that do have airstrips, so you can fly from Eugene F. Correa International Airport to that. It's usually about a 20-minute plane ride. These are some of the operators that offer trips and tours to that circuit. You have Dagron Tours, Evergreen Adventures, which also is the owner of Trans-Guyana Airways and Baganara Island Resorts. All 4 tours, they do a lot of day tours to this area, and they do about 5 stops per tour. And you usually get to have lunch at one of your selected properties. Huracabra Nature Resort, Nature Tours, which is also the owner of the Huracabra Nature Resort. Roraima Tours, which is also the owner of Arrowpoint Nature Resort, and Wilderness Explorers. Wilderness Explorers is the only destination management company currently in Guyana, and they do offer and organize tours to not only the Essequibo Circuit, but other areas of Guyana as well. One of the popular things that a lot of people like to do when they do these tours is also incorporate Kaitra Falls into it. So Baganara, Lake Mainstay, and Arrowpoint Nature Resort are also great add-ons to a kiteshore day trip. For more information, you can contact us at www.guyanatourism.com, or you can travel to www.exploreguyana.org, which is the website for the Tourism and Hospitality Association of Guyana, and this is the private sector sister agency of the GTA. For more information on government statistics, you can visit statisticsguyana.gov.gy, goinvest@gov.gy, and www.cgairport-guyana.com is the official website of the main international airport of Guyana, which is the Chedijagan International Airport. For support for new operators and airlines, we are always willing at the Guyana Tourism Authority. From the Guyana Tourism Authority, you get to provide we do provide you with key information that you need, assist with coordinating travel-related events and setting up interviews, work with joint advertising and cooperative marketing, support for familiarization trips, reception at airports, help with negotiating hotel rates and referrals, and help building Guyana's private sector capacity. Thank you all, and if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. Jessie, over to you.
Yes, thanks, Nicola. So we have a couple of questions. So do most of the hotels offer Wi-Fi? Is that an option across the board, or is that slim pickings amongst the lodges in both Georgetown and the interior?
Actually, in Georgetown, it is very common for you to have Wi-Fi. It's actually uncommon for a hotel to offer Wi-Fi in Georgetown. When you get into the interior, more south of the country, to the North Rupununi and the South Rupununi, Wi-Fi is offered at some properties, but you do have to pay a rate for it. This is simply because the Wi-Fi is pretty expensive in that area and they don't always have the large bandwidth as the ones in Georgetown do. For those on the Essequibo Circuit, most of them actually do have free Wi-Fi that you can use. Lake Mainstay, Baganara Island Resort, and South Island do offer free Wi-Fi.
Okay, perfect. How about the electricity? 24-hour electricity at most of the lodges?
On the Essequibo Circuit, yes. When you go a bit further into the country, they do rely on solar power. So at certain hours, they do turn that off to ensure that they are saving a lot. The Essequibo Circuit, because it's pretty popular day in and night out as well. Some of them do have solar power, but they do also have backups to ensure that you have electricity throughout the day.
Perfect. What other countries can be combined with Guyana? Is there a traditional circuit, would you say, when you're already in this area of the world?
In terms of dual destination, a lot of people do choose COPA to do dual destinations with two South American countries, or use LIA to do dual destination with Guyana and one of our Caribbean neighbors, such as Barbados, Trinidad, or Antigua and Barbuda. Many people also do Suriname and Guyana, and do the three Guyanas as well, which is Suriname, Guyana, and French Guyana.
Awesome. The rainy and dry seasons for Guyana, can you explain that a bit?
Sure. So Guyana has two main seasons, the dry and the rainy season, as Jesse would have mentioned. Our rainy seasons are usually May to late August, and our dry seasons are September to early May. The dry season is usually the best time to visit Guyana because you can see it's easier to do transfers. A lot of the rainforest is not flooded at that time. However, on the flip side, if you do visit during the wet season, you do get to see some of our birding and our wildlife a bit more up close that live in the trees, and you do get to see Kaieteur Falls at its fullest, which is quite a spectacular sight.
Yes, I can imagine. We were there when it wasn't even its fullest, and it was mind-boggling, and that was just 2 months ago. So, last question. Actually, two more questions. Malaria. Are malaria pills required to take while you're in Guyana when traveling from the United States?
It is required. It is a government advisory that you do take it or that you do bring it as a precaution. But in terms of actual cases, we have never had any serious case here in about 25 years. Mm-hmm. And malaria is a bit more common in the mining areas, which are far from the tourism areas. So the lodges and the areas that are very popular for tourism and the tourism circuits, it's not that big of an issue. But we do advise that you still walk with it and you do take it just to be on the safe side.
So recommended, but not required. That's good to know.
Correct.
I'll take this last question. Let's see. How about the Warapoka Lodge? How do you say it? Warapoka Lodge? Sorry.
Warapoka.
Warapoka.
So the Warapoka is it is a community-led and owned lodge, very similar to the infrastructure that we have in the north and the south Rupununi. It's not in this particular circuit. To get to it from this particular circuit, it does take about 2.5 hours extra. Okay. It's more north of the country, but it is quite a spectacular site. We actually recently opened that lodge in the community last year, and it had its first visitors early this year. Okay. Wilderness Explorers is one of the key operators that is actually now offering those trips. And it's more of getting that southern Guyanese experience on that coastland as well.
So that would be for more of a northern circuit.
It's similar to the product that you get in the North Rupununi, but in terms of location in the country, it's more north of the country.
Sure. I'm going to take this one last question because I think that it's important. If you're not wanting to do like land or river transfers, do you have an estimated cost for doing like small charter flights from airstrips to the lodges if they're available?
Charter flights usually depend on the size of your group. There are three different types of planes that we do have. We do have the 9-seater, 12-seater, and the Beechcraft, which holds 19 people. So also depending on the location you'd like to go to, it also varies. I can give you an average cost per person that it takes to Kaieteur Falls, which is about 125 US for that full day trip. But if you do make a diversion, it would be a bit cheaper than if you do have to do Kaieteur Falls for one day, then travel back and then travel out to maybe Baganara Island Resort as well. So in order to get a more accurate estimate, I would encourage you to contact one of the operators with your specific group sizes, so they'll be able to advise you more accurately.
Okay, perfect. So those were all the questions that came through. I appreciate you taking the time to answer those, Nicola. And we have our next and last webinar of the popular tourism circuits of Guyana on May 21st. So I'll include that registration link in this follow-up. So if you'd like to register for that. I'll also include the recording for both this webinar and the previous webinar that we did with Nicola as well. But we thank you guys for joining us and look forward to seeing you for the next webinar. And thank you, Nicola.
Thank you, guys.